Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, the road to Sakura Genesis has begun by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we got a couple of course, preliminary matches for upcoming title matches, if you guys probably know about. But the main event features, of course, the Last Dragon, Shingo Takagi taking on the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. So that's going to be one hell of a match. And then, of course, we move on with WWE Evolve featuring talent not only from NXT, WWE, and possibly wrestlers you may have seen in the independents. But the main event features, of course, Kylie Rae. As you probably know, she's been, how do I say, haunted by none other than Wendy Choo. So that's going to be an interesting main event. And then finally, AEW Dynamite. This is their go home show before this coming weekend for Dynasty. So we do have some interesting matches taking place. The main event features, of course, Cope, the take on, of course, Claudio Castelloni, because don't forget, Rated FTR will be challenging for the AEW World Trios titles as well. But however, John Moxley is determined to dismantle Swerve in any way possible to ensure he does not make it all the way to Dynasty. But we'll see what happens until then. And then, as always, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the pleasantries. So, class is in session. So let's begin with our very first review in this from New Japan, The Road to Sakura Genesis. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Road to Sakura Genesis. Now, this tour has already begun. In case anybody asks, this is probably day 2 or day 3. They had a couple house shows that you were not able to see on their demand show, on their demand website, whatever you watch it at. But yes, so that's the main reason. So let's begin with our very first match. We have a 10-man tag team match. First up, we have the young lion Katsuya Murashima teaming up with Ninja Mac, Bolton Oldleg, Toru Yano, and Hiroyoshi Tenzan. They take on Tiger Mask, Yo, Master Wato, and of course, Great Bashiel, better known as Tomoaki Hamna, and Togi Makabe. Now, this match, of course, has nothing specific on any storyline or anything, but it was a pretty good match. But not to mention, if you guys pay too close attention, you know who's going to be the X factor of losing this match, and that was, of course, the young lion himself, Murashima. So he ended up being submitted in a, I forgot what to call it, but Yo was the one who initiated the submission, and just like that, Murashima had no choice but the tap. Our next match, we have Bullet Club War Dogs, Drilla Maloney and Sanada once again, of course, taking on Taka Michinoku and Yuya Uemura, just four guys. As you know, they're disdained over what Sanada did last year, betraying them. It still goes on. However, every single time, they can't get the footing to get things right. Now, I was surprised that Taichi was not even here. I mean, I'm sure he's talking with Doiki over the offer that Tanahashi has given him, the chance to join Huntai. So, if you guys don't know what Huntai is, that's the main unit of New Japan, in case anybody asks. So, but however, as always, the War Dogs keep winning matches against the just four guys. Drilla Maloney was the one who picked up the win on Taka Michinoku with the Drilla Killer, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now we got the other members of the War Dogs, Robbie X, Taiji Shimori, and Gabe Kidd taking on TMDK, Hartley Jackson, Kosa Fujita, and Robbie Eagles. Now remember, this is a preliminary match. For those who don't know or haven't learned yet, Robbie X and Taiji Shimori are the challengers that will face, of course, Robbie Eagles and Kosa Fujita, better known as Ichiban Sweet Boys, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team belts. So that's going to be on Sakura Genesis later on this month. So basically, this is a preliminary match, but at the same time, who will build up the momentum for this one? Well, the initial momentum goes to the War Dogs, all thanks to Gabe Kidd when he applied a pile driver onto Hartley Jackson. Of course, Gabe Kidd, who's the toughest SOB and talks way, way, way too much, was able to pick up the win on Hartley Jackson with a pile driver. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Next match, I would say I could call this a preliminary match. We have the United Empire consistent of Jacob Austin Young, Francesco Akira, and Cal Newman. They take on LIJ, Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Tetsuya Naito. Now, for those who don't know, Cal Newman, along with Jeff Cobb, made the decision that they want to challenge for the IWGP Tag Team belts currently being held by Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito. So you would think that this is one of those matches where, of course, they will be in that. However, in this match, it was Hiromu who walked away with the win. We applied a figure 4 onto, of course, Jacob Austin Young, and just like that, Jacob Austin Young had no choice but the tap. Next up, we have Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Yota Tsuji. Now, as you know, Yota Tsuji has his disdain rivalry with Evil. He sends one of his cronies, of course, Kanemaru, to do his dirty work. Now, of course, when it comes to House of Torture, you know they're going to show up. Evil and that idiot Dick Togo showed up to ensure that this match was fallen in favor. And, of course, as always, they get involved in the match. Kanemaru, of course, disqualified and Yota Tsuji winning. But, of course, they decided to dismantle Yota Tsuji's knee in order to ensure, because Evil, the scumbag that he is, decides that he wants to show him that he's nothing but a loser. Well, Evil, let me break it down for you. You are the pathetic loser because maybe David Finlay was right. Maybe you're nothing. And besides, in my opinion, you, Evil, are stuck in the shadows of Tetsuya Naito. That's your problem. But of course, I'm sure Yota Tsuji will find a way to overcome it because we know Evil always has something up his sleeve. Not only that, he has his cronies, the House of Losers, by his side. Moving on. Another preliminary match, for those who do know, as you know, David Finlay is this year's winner for the New Japan Cup. He faces Hiroki Goto, our current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Now, David Finlay is determined to, of course, to be the scumbag of the earth, wants to make Goto's kids cry, to make them feel you failed your kids. Well, this is a preliminary match where he teams up with Geto and, of course, Clark Connors. Now, there's another preliminary match involving this one because their opponents is not just Hiroki Goto and his tag team partner, Yoshihashi, better known as Bishamon, also the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, El Desperado, or as we call him, Despy, is also in this match. So basically, Clark Connor is the challenger for this belt, and he swore that he's going to dismantle El Desperado once and for all. Like this time, put him down for good. But this time, of course, it was Desperado who picked up the momentum when he applied Ghetto, the Dos, or better known as the stretch muffler. And just like that, Ghetto, being the idiot that he is, actually tapped out. But however, during the post match, of course, Clark Connors decided to send a direct message to Despy, telling him that he's going to take that belt from him. Well, Despy has been in hardcore matches, death matches, throughout his career, and he always survives it. Even though he can say he can take the belt, but he's not going to stay down for the count. But we'll see. On for our main event, we have the Dragon, Shingo Takagi, taking on the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, I would like to think that this is part of the match where many wrestlers are determined to have that singles match before Tanahashi retires on January 4th, 2026, since you all know he's retiring on that specific day. And so far, so good. He had some incredible matches, but right now, time is almost up. And Shingo, as you know, he is one of the toughest SOBs on the planet. He always brings the best energy into the ring to pull every strength and power in order to get the results. And that's exactly what we did. Tanahashi, no disrespect, knowing that he has done great deed in New Japan for years. And now that his time is almost up, he fought valiantly until he ended up on the wrong side of the last dragon by Shingo Takagi. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Just like that. Now, I don't know what Takagi said, of course, during the post match promo, but I'm sure he was happy that he finally got that opportunity to have a singles match against him. But that's for another time and another place. So we'll leave things as it is with New Japan. Let's move on with WWE Evolve. Okay, so WWE Evolve. Now, this is the 5th week so far since they launched. So let's see how things turn up this week. Our first match, we have Brinley Reese taking on Zeta Steel. For those who do know, Zeta Steel is part of the WWE ID prospect. So she's wrestlers that, of course, WWE has their eye on while she's still wrestling independent. So, as you know, Zeta Steel has been making appearances for the last 4 weeks with WWE Evolve, and now she gets her chance against Brinley Reese. Now, the real question is, how what this is going to do? Well, we know that Jackson Drake has been watching this match, and just like that, of course, Zeta Steel lost right in front of Drake, and then, of course, Brinley Reese picked up a hell of a win when she applied a cutter, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, during the post match, Swipe Right, Ricky Smokes, and of course, what's his name? Brad Taylor showed up to give Zeta a helping hand. But of course, I think they're questioning Drake. Why didn't you do anything to help her? Well, I guess they're still mad at how things turned out in their first week. Remember, all 3 of these men were part of the first week and they lost. So I'm going to say there's going to be blame everywhere. Now, as you know, Kylie Rae has been tormented by Wendy Choo to play mind games. And Zara Zacher, who defeated her on their first week 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago actually, was of course, made a big deal that she defeated her. But however, she's trying to help her to overcome this whole ordeal with Wendy Choo. But you know how Wendy Choo is; she likes to play mind games with her opponents. Next up, we have Keanu Carver taking on, of course, the Castellari from the D'Angelo family, Luca Crucifino, who who claims that he runs WWE. I feel like this story is telling us Carver feels I'm the one running this show now, bitch, not you. So, but however, this match, oh my God, Carver really messed him up. Like he completely defeated the Castellari just like that, and it was over. He applied like a somewhat of a twisted suplex or something. I don't know, but it was effective. And 1, 2, 3, he won. I would say that this is about the story. You say you run Evolve in the name of the Angelo family. I don't think so. So I think that's what the story tells me. So we'll see. Next up, we have women's action. We have um, Chantel Monroe taking on Mason Holiday. Nothing too special, but I have to say these women um, haven't impressed me yet. But however, we will see them grow. But in the end, it was in fact of this match, it was Monroe who picked up the win when she applied the schoolboy, but she used the tights in order to pick up the win, and just like that, it was over. Now we did see a little face to face in the backside between Callie Armstrong and Danny Palmer. Now those who know, those two were in the first week of their they were in the first week of course of WWE Evolve when they first launched, and they lost the match. And Callie Carter has been uninjured ever since then. So it's more like the blame goes to Palmer because she was the one who initiated the loss, but it wasn't actually her fault. I mean, Danny Palmer put everything she had, but it was not enough. Next up, we have Harlem Lewis versus Joe Coffey. Now, Joe Coffey, you all know he's the kind of guy who's trying to tell people, like guys like Harlem Lewis, don't steal our spotlight or you get beat up. However, Harlem Lewis was able to overcome a guy who is strong, powerful, like Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey's mistake is by punching the corner side of the ring on the steel post, hurting his hand, and of course Lewis saw that as a vulnerability and opening for him to take it. And then of course, out of surprise, Harlem Lewis picked up the win when he applied the jackhammer, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, there's a part of me that like to think that there is no way Joe Coffey is going to let that slide. There is no way. And I'm sure his brother Mark and Wolfgang, together known as Gallus, will get their payback against him. Now on to our main event. Kylie Rae versus the ever spooky sleepyhead, Wendy Choo. Well, we all know what's been going on for the last couple of weeks. Wendy Choo's been playing some sick mind games with Kylie Rae. Of course, Kylie Rae said, look, I have no time for this crap, all right? My crap is worried about the other competitors. But Wendy Choo's like, sorry, you're not going to ignore me. I'm in your view right now. So no matter what Kylie Rae has been trying to do to avoid this, she cannot escape it. Now, you think with Kylie Rae's experience, she will be able to pick up the win. Nope. Wendy Choo got what she wanted, put her in a chokehold, and just like that, it was completely over. Basically, she did not wake up, and Wendy Choo got the victory. So we'll see what happens next week on Evolve. So as of right now, we are officially done with WWE Evolve. So let's move on with our last and final review, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. Well, it begins, of course, where we see the Death Riders attacking Jay White. Now, behind the scenes, those who don't know, it was later revealed that, of course, Jay White injured his hand legitimately. So he's going to be out of action and he will be not involved in the Owen Hart Tournament. So most likely we could see someone taking his place. And he was supposed to face against Will Ospreay. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, the match opened up with, of course, with Marina Shafir and Jon Moxley of the Death Riders taking on Willow Nightingale and Swerve Strickland. Now remember, Marina Shafir has been nothing but a problem for Willow Nightingale, interrupting her interviews and all this other stuff. However, those who do know, Swerve is the number one contender for the AEW World title against Jon Moxley. Moxley will not tolerate the fact that guys like him are trying to take over AEW, believing that he is disrupting AEW. But however, we see this interesting mixed tag team match. But the one thing that was really interesting in this match is, of course, Swerve Strickland had Jon Moxley right in his sight when he was about to do the house call. But however, Marina Shafir took, of course, the bullet for him to take the house call. And as for Swerve, you would think he had a conscience. Nope. He was just happy that he actually took her out, despite that she's a problem. And then Willow Nightingale pushed Jon Moxley through the table. And Willow Nightingale applied Dr. Bomb onto Marina Shafir. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, match goes to Willow and Swerve. However, during the post-match, Moxley didn't realize what happened until he decided to apply the Death Rider onto, of course, Willow Nightingale, knowing too well she had injury in her necks in the past. And Swerve did not take that kindly. But he did mention in an interview that he understands Willow's a tough girl, But it makes him sick that in the fact that Jon Moxley exploited that weakness to ensure that they stay down for good. But Swerve said he will be hunting them one by one. Now, moving on, we did see FTR with an interview with Renee Paquette. Of course, if you guys saw what happened, Dax Harwood lost it when he lost in the match against Wheeler Yuta. He took his frustrations out on the ref. So Dax, out of the goodness of his heart, decided to give him a check and apologize for what we did. Say, look, here's a check. Take you and your family out, on, of course, something and all that. So he apologized. But the one person I think is going to have a hard time accepting his apology is his tag partner, Cash Wheeler. But the real question is, will they be 100% okay before we head to Dynasty, since those two will be teaming up with Cope for the AEW World Trios belts? That's a very good question. So we'll see what happens until then. Our next match, we have Timeless Tony Storm, our current AEW Women's World Champion, taking on Penelope Ford, a bit of a ally to, of course, to Tony's opponent for Dynasty for the AEW Women's title, Megan Bayne. So you would think that this is going to be a very interesting match for Tony. But she was able to pick up the win when she applied the Storm Zero. However, Megan Bayne is making her presence known to tell her that she will be, of course, the one taking that belt off of her at Dynasty. So we'll see where that goes. Now, once again, as you probably saw, we have MVP and, of course, Bobby Lashley, better known as Hurt Syndicate. The Hurt Syndicate. However, Shelton Benjamin could not make it through due to issues with the flight, so basically he got stuck wherever he's at. As you probably know, MVP has an interest in having the Salt of the Earth himself, MJF. However, Bobby Lashley does not like him, neither does Shelton Benjamin. But MVP told them that he likes what he does. So basically he's in on having him. But Lashley and, of course, Benjamin are not too keen. Now MJF is trying to say, look, I get it, man. You don't like me. I get it. So he's trying to sweet talk his way through. But one thing that Bobby does not like is people touching him. So that kind of sets it up right there. But however, before anything else, as the Hurt Syndicate made their way exited, remember, apparently a new challengers want a shot of the belts, and that is, of course, the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Brian Keith. So, the Hurt Syndicate ended up watching them take on a couple of enhancements, CJ Esparza and Gage Noonan. You can tell this match was a bit of a squash match because it was Big Bill who walked away with the win when he applied a chokeslam on Noonan, and just like that. But of course, the Learning Tree are determined to prove that they want their tag team title shot now, as soon as possible. But we didn't see no response from the Hurt Syndicate on if they would accept it. So we'll see where that leads. Now, as you all know, we do have brackets for the upcoming Owen Hart Tournament that will take place starting at Dynasty. However, Mercedes Mone, as you probably know, formerly known as Sasha Banks, is now in the Owen Hart Tournament for the women's side. So she'll be facing Julie Hart, of course, in Dynasty. But however, a little wrinkle just made an appearance for her. She'll be teaming up with her opponent from Grand Slam in Australia last February, Harley Cameron. And of course, like always, when she sees her, versus, oh no. And of course, Harley Cameron said, I got a great tag name. How about the Train Wrath, the money train, something like that. The Money Wrath something. And of course, Mercedes was not like, hell no. But she has to team up with her at Collision. So that's the thing that she will have a bubble about. So let's just do that party. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Will Ospreay teaming up with Kevin Knight, who made his AEW debut recently this past Wednesday against Jay White. They take on Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. Now, I have to say, Blake Christian tried to play a little slicker in this game, even though he's a piece of garbage, the way he's been acting with his attitude. However, it was Kevin Knight who picked up in a fantastic win when he applied his springboard lariat onto Johnson. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Ospreay and Knight picked up the win. However, During the post-match, Tony Schiavone gave some excellent news coming from, of course, AEW President Tony Khan, saying that, of course, that Kevin Knight will be the one to be facing Will Ospreay at that Dynasty in the first round match. So, basically, we now saw that. Now, we did see a little bit of a video promo from the Ops consistent of Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. Now, people have been asking Joe for a while, why not? Why did you form this group? He said, well, the battlefield has been changing, so I had to accept what it had to be done. So he knew that he had to get guys like Hook and Shibata by his side. So it's a bit of a warning to anybody who has been slacking off. And of course, they're the ones who are going to set people right. So if you saw what happened, of course, Max Caster last week got choked out by Hook. And of course, Hook told Joe it was fun to choke him out. But yeah, why not? Now, our main event, we have the rated R superstar Cope, or as many of you knew him back in WWE Edge, taking on Claudio. Now, Claudio is determined to destroy Cope once and for all before Dynasty. Now, of course, Claudio did everything humanly powerful in his playbook to take him down, but nothing did. But Cope took one opportunity. Now, those who've seen the Death Riders, they like to, when the ref's not looking, he likes to low blow them. Well, Edge is an opportunity. Well, Cope is an opportunist in the past. So why not? When the ref tried to stop, of course, Claudio using the chairs to apply the concerto on him, like what he did a couple of weeks ago here in San Diego, he thought he could return a favor. Well, referee Bryce Williams was like, oh, hell no, ain't gonna happen. So, apparently, of course, while he wasn't looking, Cope gave, of course, Claudio the low blow, and just like that, then he applied a spear. 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, the show does not end with, of course, Cope winning the match. Swerve, as you know, he's been on a hunt against, of course, what's their name? Against Death Riders for what we did. And then Hangman, as you know, he feels that he does not want to see a Swerve becoming AEW World Champion, but Swerve's telling him, let it go. He's like, I burn your house. I know. But Swerve doesn't care about that anymore. He cares about what is happening now. So as soon as he tries to try to deal with everything, well, he along with 2 security guards were attacked by, of course, Death Riders, and they beat him up completely. Then Wheeler Yuta brought a shards of glass and put him in the ring, and then they suplexed him onto him, thinking they got the upper hand. However, if you guys ever seen Swerve, he got up. Now, Jon Moxley thought he had everything, and then he had that evil, sadistic smile. Swerve told him, you don't, here's the thing, Mox thinks you're not dangerous. You're nothing. You're just a wannabe. But when he got up, Moxley had that look on his face like, yeah, that kind of reaction. He got up, he's like, looking at that look like saying, no matter what you do to me, Moxley, I will always get up. So the real question is, even the Death Riders were shocked. Like, is this guy for real? They underestimated Swerve. That he is not the person they think he is. But we'll see what happens in Dynasty. So as of right now, we are done with AEW Dynamite. Let's move on, of course, with some news updates. Welcome to our news updates. So let's begin, as always, with upcoming events with the promotion starting with GCW. We have 2 updates on their upcoming events for later on this month. As you know, on the 6th of this month of April, they'll be in Philadelphia for, of course, the Philly Special. Now, originally, we were supposed to have the GCW World Tag Team belts defended. The Garbage Daddy, consisting of Cole Radrick and Alec Price, will defend them against the former champions, Violence is Forever. But however, apparently it's not going to happen, so it's going to be a 2-on-1 scenario. So Alec Price will face Violence Forever by himself. Now, I don't know what's the situation going on with that. I'll see what I can do to find out before we head to that day. And then, as you know, GCW will be at the Las Vegas area for WrestleMania weekend. They have Bloodsport on the 17th of April, They announced, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. taking on the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham. Then we have West Coast Pro with their upcoming Vegas show, Vegas Vacation on the 17th of April. We have, of course, a very interesting treat. We got the guys from Dragon Gate, specifically KZ, Yamato, and Dragon Kid. They take on Oni El Bendito and, of course, Mala Fama, Toxin, and Latigo. So that's going to be an interesting match. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America will be doing their Las Vegas show as well on the 17th, called Lady Luck. They just announced Zoe Lucas will be participating. It's great to hear that she's going to be there. I mean, I'm a fan of Zoe Lucas, but hopefully one day I get to see her. Then, of course, Marvelous will have their Las Vegas show, their debut show on the 17th of April. They just announced the rookie Sora Ayame will take on, of course, the legend Aja Kong. Then we have, of course, another Las Vegas show taking place on the 18th. Texas promotion, Texas Wrestling Cartel, have their Mob Ties event. They just announced that their Heart of Hustle Championship will be defended. Eddie Martinez will defend his belt against Cappuccino Jones. Many of you may have seen him in certain events for Evolve. He's also part of the WWE ID Prospect program. So basically, he's there. And then finally, as you know, the Canadian promotion, Maple Leaf Pro, with their Northern Rising event. Well, another name has been added into the gauntlet match. The 20-man gauntlet match will take place on May 10th. Raj Desi, or formerly known as in WWE, Jinder Mahal. Yes, so he's going to be involved in this event. So that's pretty much it for our upcoming events. Let's talk about certain developments. Now, guys, I don't know. Someone needs to put a warning label on her. We're talking about Cora Jade. Those who do know, she has been recently in many relationships. This is her third relationship she broke up. Now, many of you may ask who was her recent boyfriend. Well, I just spoke about him on WWE Evolve. Harlem Lewis, who defeated Joe Coffey. That was her recent boyfriend. They just told they broke up. Now, somebody may ask, who were the other two? Well, if you guys not been paying attention, I'll tell you. Her first boyfriend was none other, of course, than Blake Christian. This is when they were still together, but when they both got signed with WWE to go to NXT, and then, of course, Blake Christian was let go, and Cora Jade stayed. And then she ended up with Braun Breaker. So this is her third relationship broke up so far. So someone needs to put a warning label on her. So yeah. Now, many of you may know about this, about Stephanie Vaquer, despite the fact that she's an awesome wrestler. But what you guys may not know, a couple years ago, she was involved in an alleged attack by another wrestler named Cuartero. Cuartero was arrested for assaulting Stephanie Vaquer and sentenced to prison. Now, of course, many people thought that she might have jumped the ship with WWE because she wanted to get away in case if he did release. Well, that's not partially true. I mean, we know that she was afraid. Many promotions felt disgusted for what this guy did. And many promotions decided to ban, some of the major promotions banned his brothers, for what he did. I mean, I think it's unfair, but yeah. But Stephanie's attacker, and Cuartero, is now officially released from prison. Now, I'm sure Stephanie Vaquer, if she ever goes back to Mexico to visit people, I would say she needs to be a little careful in case of anything. So yeah. Now, finally, Thekla, as you know, recently she had an exclusive on Mercedes Mone, and this is what she said. Seeing her walking around with 4 belts, I'm a little concerned for her well-being. I think someone ought to help her out and carry those, if you know what I mean. I think I know what she's saying. She's like saying, I want to challenge her and take one of those belts off of her. Now, there's been talk about Thekla recently about the possibility that she'll be leaving Stardom too and make her move to the U.S., so that is something that could happen. I know she has talked about this before, about maybe moving to the overseas. I mean, for those who know this, Thekla is originally from Austria. So she's an Austrian wrestler who's been wrestling in Japan for most of her career. But moving to the States, that could be a possibility. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is with our news updates and call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have TNA and, of course, Ring of Honor. However, I have not seen the recent Stardom show that they did, in Korakuen Hall, that features, of course, Mina Shirakawa's last final Korakuen Hall show. And, of course, the main event features Sayuri Anu and Tam Nakano, which I hear was an epic match, between two Cosmic Angel members. So I may review that, but we'll see how things, because I got an errand to do and it may take up so much time. But let's just keep our fingers crossed I can get that out of the way. But if I'm unable to do so, I might do it on a Friday or so. I'm behind on certain events, but we'll get to it. Um, so yeah, so until then, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.